It's Thursday, April 8th, 2021. Episode 046. You are about to go down the rabbit hole with Joe and Brian. I'm Brian. With me, as always, my good friend Joe. Joe, how you doing this week?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm between the COVID, the variants, the mutants, the double mutants, the waves, wave 4, wave 5, wave 6, whatever,
And don't forget the South African strain versus the
yeah,
Brazilian
yeah,
strain.
yeah, I consider myself lucky to be alive. So, that's how I'm doing, man.
You
How
know,
about yourself?
I consider myself lucky that you're alive as well.
Thank you, thank you. Oh boy, what do we got here?
Quick question:
Oh, yeah. What's your quick question?
Are you still in ketosis?
I am, although I'm not as purple as I was. It's
More like a
I'm still
lilac
in
or a
the.
lavender?
Lavender's pretty damn close, I'd say.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm still on the spectrum according to the bottle, but yeah, if I want to get back to the dark purple, I'm gonna have to be more strict. There's been Easter and while I haven't explicitly, I mean, like I haven't been eating breads or anything like that. I have been, you can get carbs in other ways, and
Mhm.
so I've been a little lax, but I'm pretty sure that if I was to get strict about a few things for a few days, I'd be back. I'd be back in the dark again.
All right,
Pretty sure.
good, good. And the only reason I asked is because once again, toward the beginning of this year, it got. I mean, it seemed pretty real. So I wanted to make sure I keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I really am to the point where it's not even really a diet anymore. And I know I've said this before,
Mhm.
I think, but this is just kind of it's just kind of like how I eat. I don't I'm not tracking, I'm not watching numbers or anything, but I'm mindful of the things that I can and can't eat.
Yeah.
So
So the world now knows Brian's on a starvation diet
but I'm not starving, so
where he
we're
denies
good.
himself delicious and flavorful food, and
I, I
yeah,
I do miss the I used to have a ritual during the F1 season. Uh, I would I would get up and have like some donuts or something while I watched donuts and coffee while I watched the F1 race, but not this year.
So speaking of F1, didn't F1 have a race like a race
Yeah,
like last week that
2 weeks ago they had their first race,
uh, uh
and once again Lewis Hamilton won. However, it wasn't a given. The Red Bull car is really strong, and the only reason, and it really came down to a way the two teams managed their tires, and it just
hmm.
turned out that it worked out for Mercedes this time. But Max Verstappen, Red Bull, they're going to be a force this year.
Well,
I
what
mean, they dominated practice. Max took pole during qualifying. Um, it was about the way the teams managed the tires during the race. But
and
yeah, it'll be fun to
what type of
watch.
car is Red Bull driving?
It's their own car. They build their own car.
I mean,
I mean, I think they have engines. I think they have like
all
Honda
right.
engines and whatnot. But um, it's like the main teams all have like their own. It's like Red Bull and Honda, Mercedes, Ferrari. Uh, they McLaren. They all build their own cars.
Yeah.
It's the
See,
it's
I
it's
guess
the cars.
it's easy for me to. Sorry, huh?
Go ahead.
It's easy for me to understand what type of car the Mercedes teams drives because it's Mercedes. But yeah, Red Bull. Red Bull doesn't manufacture cars. So
No, although they do have a really awesome test circuit somewhere in Europe called the Red Bull Ring.
hmm.
It's pretty cool. So uh, yeah, they don't their cars aren't powered by fizzy energy drinks or nothing.
Not powered by Red Bull.
No, it's not powered by Red Bull, but they are their own team. So that's pretty cool. And they made some tweaks this year, I get there over the winter, over the break that makes their cards really competitive this year.
Now
I'm looking forward to watching it.
I remember last year when like Lewis Hamilton got like COVID or was sick or something like that. Some other guy drove his car.
Yeah, George Russell.
Is that guy driving? Driving for another team? Is he still with the?
No, he's back to his original team. Mercedes, yeah, Mercedes went and actually took him from his team to drive, but he's back. I can't remember what team it is now. I think it's maybe AlphaTauri. I think I'm not sure,
Hmm.
but yeah, he's back. He's back to his shitty car, finishing finishing between 15 and 20.
Yeah, I just remember it seemed as if like when he was driving a Mercedes car, he was driving like a he was it seemed like he was he was close to
He
winning
was
and then
back.
like he fell back and then he like came back again and like he fell back and then like he came back again and then like there was some odd fluke that precluded him from being able to place.
Yeah, his car just broke down.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, yeah, it was, and it kind of answered the question that I'd always had. How much of Lewis Hamilton's success is Lewis Hamilton, and
And how
how
much is the
much of it
car?
is the car? And you can't. It's not a perfect test, but that was a pretty telling indicator, I think.
It seemed like to me that if it was out of 10, 7/10 would be the car and the other three would be Lewis.
Yeah, I would like to take Lewis and put him in one of like a Haas car or one of the lower cars and see just how spectacular he is.
Eh, we should cross our fingers and maybe wish upon a star. It might happen for us.
You never know. Sebastian Vettel was like number one for years, and now he's found himself down in one of the shit cars. So it's just things can change over the course of a few years, man. You never know.
Or in a twinkling of an eye.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
All right, I'm going to try this again.
all right, cool.
Uh,
Motherfucker, give me 2 fingers of Southern Comfort.
what the bartender bring you, Joe? And if you tell me rum and coke again, I'm going to just hang up.
Well, I'm glad you said
What?
that because, well, you might end up hanging up. I've got 2 drinks.
Okay.
One is a passion fruit Bellini.
I don't know what a Bellini is.
It's delicious. That's what it is. And you haven't
It
lived.
sounds good.
Yeah, yeah,
It
it is.
sounds good.
It's funny because I didn't. I first learned about Bellini's what last year,
Okay.
and I mean, you ever heard of the show? What's the name of it? It's a TV show where there's like this criminal, but he's all like suave. Um, I don't know, but basically, I was watching a TV show, and the main character made reference to Bellinis, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard that word before, and so I looked it up, and it turns out it's a pretty much like it's like a mimosa, but it's like a white wine, and I have like passion fruit juice in it, and it's very very good. You owe it to yourself to try it. And drink number 2 is Old Faithful, the rum and coke.
That's fine. Was it the Blacklist? Was that the show you was watching?
That's it. That's the show. You got
It
very
sounded
very
like
good, man.
it sounded like something that dude would
Yeah,
would
it's
say.
exactly. And he was like, like, oh yeah, we're having Bellini for brunch. I'm like, wait a second. I've heard of mimosas for brunch, but I've not heard of Bellinis, and so that's why I had to look it up. And
Yeah,
here we are.
yeah, I like that show. Um, oh, I'm having I've just got a couple fingers of um, Evan Williams Kentucky bourbon,
All right.
and I'm going to chase it with some Miller Lite. So,
Hmm.
see, it's this Miller Lite that I should probably cut out if I want to get back in the purple. But
You can probably have it once a week.
yeah, just so
You don't want to drain
yeah.
all the fun out of life. I mean, all of it.
No, and I'm not, I'm not going to. So, yeah. Um. All right. So we got the first thing here on our agenda today. Let's talk about George Floyd and what's been going on. I have just completely given up trying to watch the trial on television. I
Now, what did it for you? Was it the sensationalization, or not being able to sit through the defense argument, or not being able to stomach the prosecution bungle and drop the ball?
it's it was a lot of things. It is the sensationalism from the commentators and stuff. But as far as the trial goes, it's like I don't know. I feel like it's just a bunch of like leading like they're asking the witnesses questions to get I don't know. I don't know. It just something just about it seemed weird to me.
Well, there's no doubt
Not
that every question that comes out of the attorney's mouth is designed to elicit
e-
some piece of information.
exactly, and that's why I realized how dumb how dumb it. I realized what I was saying was pretty dumb because you're right.
Yeah, but
Um,
I can imagine how that could be less than exhilarating to watch, because whereas you're watching a show and the guys who are in the show are like approaching approaching it as if it were surgery.
yeah. Now because we missed last week, my notes here are 2 weeks old, but I
Yeah.
had wrote down here. I had wrote down here, and this drove me crazy, but it was early on. It was the prosecutor was examining or questioning one of their witnesses, and it was the black dude who I think he was the store clerk,
All right. All right.
and and he kept asking him yes or no questions, but he instead of saying yes, he kept saying correct, correct.
Huh.
And it just, I mean, it was an affirmative, but
Not the answer.
it's a
Didn't
yes
seem to
or
flow.
it's yeah. They just it didn't it just doesn't seem like a, and for some reason that got under my skin and it just bothered me. It's like just say yes, man. But every question, every affirmative answer was correct,
Hmm.
correct, correct.
I don't know. This
And
sound like you're what's the word I'm looking for? Like crotchety.
yeah, I am. And then another dude was being. I think this was one of the bystanders.
The guy with the white glasses.
I can't remember what he looked like, but he was just being flat out antagonistic against the defense attorney, which was funny, but it kind of got annoying to watch after a while. He's like, did you say this? And he's like, well, did I say it on the video? Well, yeah, yeah. Well, then I guess I did.
Well, yeah. I mean,
He was being a
I hate questions like that. Did you do X, Y, and Z? Like, well, I mean, is it in the? I mean, I could see myself answering that way.
Mhm.
When I say no, let's play that video again.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I would too, but it just bothered me.
What do you think? Thinking
Um,
of the defense attorney?
Well, he's at least seems competent, I guess.
Yeah, I think you were being a little too harsh on him earlier.
I was. He's competent. Um, so competent that he may, the burden of proof. We was talking about this earlier. The burden of proof is it's on the state, and I gotta wonder, man. Are they, are they trying to throw this or what? I mean, they have done some. And again, this is I'm getting this from third parties. I've not been watching, but it seems like from the things I've seen or heard that they've just made some boneheaded plays. And um,
I hadn't heard
yeah,
that, but every time I've watched it, it seemed as if yeah, it was one of those things where like when you see the video, you think, okay, this should be a slam dunk case. It should be obvious who's winning during the trial. And from what I've seen of it, it's not obvious who's winning during the trial.
yeah. Well, I watched the entire video too, and then I heard that and then I heard like one of the things that a headline that I'd seen and read. Maybe it was interesting enough that I clicked through was that they said that Chauvin's knee was on his back,
I heard that as well.
and I looked and they had a picture, and from the still picture, it was on his back. It wasn't on his neck, but I watched that entire video, and I'm pretty sure that, although I haven't rewatched it, but I would have noticed if his knee wasn't on his neck during
Yeah,
the 9-10 minute video.
yeah.
So
I think if it was a 9 10 minute, sorry, it was a 9 minute video. Maybe his knee wasn't on his neck for maybe 30 seconds, but I don't know. It seemed to me that
yeah,
it was pretty clearly on his neck. And yeah, he may have lost balance and shifted to his back for a second or two, but I'm pretty sure it was on his neck. And I guess the other thing that makes me so confident, well, yeah, I mean, maybe we should make that some homework for ourselves before we come back next week.
what's that?
Rewatching the video and getting an understanding as to how much time was spent on not on his neck and versus on his neck.
Yeah, we should be able to do that.
Yeah, because that's a matter of knowable fact. If the world understands his knee was on his neck, but if for 1 minute and 35 seconds it was actually on the upper part of his back, okay, we can give you that.
Um, and this is the thing that the statement that I've made to you in the past a couple of times was, if George Floyd had never run into Dereck Chauvin that day, would he still be alive?
According to the
And
defense, no.
yeah, apparently he was going to die of a drug overdose. Period. So,
Yeah,
well,
just
according to the
meeting
defense.
Chauvin just made that event that inevitable death just less comfortable.
Yeah. Apparently, some of the experts that the prosecution put up that was like talking about the techniques that Chauvin used and that kind of stuff. The defense basically got him to say, well, yeah, I would have done the same or more, or the defense got one of them to say that Dereck Chauvin was showing restraint because he was well within his rights to use a taser, and it is just saying stupid shit like that.
Yeah,
And
I hadn't heard anything like that. I heard. I heard that the prosecution put on the chief of police, and then some use of force expert from the LAPD, and then
right.
like the training officer from Minneapolis, and all these people indicated that what Chauvin did was outside of spec in terms of department regulation and was excessive, and the use of force, seeing as how he was handcuffed and on his belly.
Well, that's the rub, man. That's what you hear because that's all they report. They don't. report to cross-examination. And I was listening to a podcast that played what I was saying. I was listening. I heard the witness actually say these things. I could not find a clip for it. It's like that kind of stuff is just scrubbed, or I don't know. I can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
I could have went back and maybe pulled it out of the podcast, but that would have been hard too because they kept stopping it and talking and then play and then
See,
stop and talk.
are you watching it on C-SPAN?
No, I'm not watching it at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you were watching it on C-SPAN, you could get around a lot of the sensationalism.
I know, but then that's freaking boring too because when there's nothing happening, it just sits there staring at an empty chair or something like that. I just can't be made happy, Joe.
Just like just determined.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, at least you know that about yourself.
I'm not proud. One of the big things this week, at least on the right or alt-right or whatever.
Oh, the rightist sphere.
Yeah, there's this conservative commentator named something Crowder. And his show is Louder with Crowder is the name of his show, and so they did this big bullshit stunt this week where Crowder, they went out in a parking lot and he got down on his stomach and had his hands handcuffed behind his back and had one of his people on the show go and put their knee down on his neck for 9 minutes in an attempt to show that that shouldn't have killed anyone or whatever. But my here's what, but I call that doesn't tell me anything. My whole point.
That tells me I should not be listening to that show.
Well, the thing is, it's like these right-leaning shows. It's like they feel like, I get the impression that since they consider themselves right, that they have to accept this narrative and so they keep, even Tim Pool, this Crowder dude, any of these shows, it's all like they had to keep the force on because that's another thing. They got one of the witnesses to say, yeah, even when someone has been subdued, it's still possible for them to, or even when they lose consciousness or whatever, it's still possible for them to come wake, to like regain consciousness and then resume attack and stuff like that. And that's just the whole narrative. But the thing they never freaking talk about is he had his goddamn hands handcuffed behind his back.
Yeah, it's like George Floyd was like some superhuman that even though he was face down.
If this guy wanted to do a demonstration to really impress me, then what he needed to do was, while he was laying on his stomach with his hands handcuffed behind his back, he needed to jump up and beat the shit out of the guy that was putting his foot on his. Then I'd be like, all right, that tells me something right there. But you ain't doing that.
The other thing was, like, did he have two other guys on him as well?
I don't know. I didn't watch. I was listening to it, and I was only half listening to it because it was bothering me.
But why do you think elements of the right are so excited to defend Chauvin? Because I would figure that if you're someone on the right, you should have a pretty healthy suspicion of police power, right?
You would think, but it's like you have to be. I don't know. Not all. I guess. I mean, there's, again. I'm not. This isn't. I'm just painting with a broad brush, but it's like conservatives pro-police. And all through last year, it was once this became politicized, which was almost immediately. The sides took their stance, and it's just they're not willing to. They're just not willing to change their opinion.
What do you think made it politicized? Because from what I remember, like everyone was like, yeah, that was out of order. I don't recall anyone being like, yeah. I don't recall like Mitch McConnell being like, well, he may have been still in danger, and there may have been other people that were in danger. Or I haven't heard any like mainstream politician or come out pro Chauvin.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's a
I
question:
guess I can.
Is is Chauvin a folk hero in some circles?
No.
And the reason I ask is because, like you were saying how the right is a pro police in general with a broad brush, and you remember like that guy I keep on making reference to, but never am able to come up with a clip. He made the point like, hey, you know, after January 6th, the mainstream media and pretty much basically was saying, hey, we all live in media bubbles. And just as we are all repulsed and horrified by what happened on the 6th, there are circles where these guys are feted. And that made me think to myself, well, perhaps there might be circles where Chauvin is feted. Feted slash celebrated.
I I don't think I've not heard it anywhere.
I mean,
Other than like forum posts and stuff. But even then, I don't know that anyone's. I don't know. I think now it's not even about Chauvin to a lot of people. It's just right versus left.
and part of
It's
me is
like
like, I mean, like, so for the louder with Crowder guy,
mhm.
what makes somebody say, you know what, this is going to be a great use of time to reenact this? I mean, that just sounds like yeah, a little bit short of what it means to be a full human.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, fair enough.
Um, so,
Louder with Crowder. That only kind of rhymes too.
but, yeah, I I like a lot of his other commentaries, but it's like everyone has these blinders when it comes to this trial. It's bizarre.
I mean, it's funny because uh, I think the last time we talked, I was like, yeah, there are 9 white jurors and 6 non-white jurors, and I remember making the point that one of those guys would be like, yeah, you know, it wasn't the knee on the neck that killed him, it was the drugs, and as a result, he would be the guy that would make the jury end up coming back hung. And as luck would have it, today I was talking with one of the guys I work with, uh, and he pretty much was saying, well, I don't, I think it was bad what he did, but I don't think he killed him. I don't think it was the knee against the neck. And I'm like, wow, this is, and that's kind of when I was like, yep, this is going to happen, and I think we're going to see the cities burn again.
Well, if he was in fact within the boundaries of the rules that are set up for these kinds of things, then there's a bigger problem, and that like the system needs reform.
Well, that's it.
And
When the people who came in and testified this week, the chief of the police for Minneapolis and the use of force folks, none of those people said that he was within spec for what he did. They all said that he was operating outside of um, you know regular use of
you
force
know,
requirements and
it's
and
bizarre.
hmm?
It's bizarre because I've heard testimony that's the exact opposite of that.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
that annoys me that I didn't hear that, but I will.
I will try to dig deeper and see if I can find them, but um, just doing cursory Google searches and on YouTube and stuff, it just ain't there.
Well, thankfully,
But
it's all on C-SPAN. And so, if you recall what day that testimony came from, or for whom was
Not,
testifying, I could probably go back and find it.
I have no idea.
All right, well,
Sorry.
no worries. I mean,
Well,
I haven't been watching it as closely, but I have been following the news. But I hadn't heard them talk about you know.
well, that's the problem. Is I don't trust the news, and they've earned my distrust.
Fair
So,
enough.
well, and that's unfortunate, I guess.
Yeah.
But we'll keep following it.
Oh yeah.
You know what? No promises, but I'll try to tune back in tomorrow and the rest, and maybe next week, and
Yeah, because
see what's going on.
I want to know because that I mean yeah, I thought I knew I wasn't watching it every day, but I thought I was pretty well informed. And so to hear that, now is it one of those where like he was like, well, is it possible he could have gotten up and continued to fight? I mean,
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think it was.
those possibility questions are almost like is it possible? I mean, yes, it wasn't probable, but is it possible that he could have been a continued threat even after he was unconscious? Yeah,
Right.
I guess it's possible. Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, the I guess the defense hasn't started yet, so it'll be interesting, I guess, to see what they. But that's just the way it is. It's like, well, I guess it really going to which experts do, because I'm sure that they're going to have experts that's going to corroborate their narrative. So, what do you do?
Like I said, countdown to injustice, man.
Yeah, I'm afraid that it yeah, it will be.
So, like,
Um,
if I'm right, should we like have like a moment of pause or something like that? And
well, the thing, I think that there's going to be riots and things are going to burn regardless. I do think that there's other agendas at play here.
such
So we're
as,
going to have um, just just sowing discord between the races in this country.
hmm,
It's what it's just what our enemies want, whoever the enemies may be. They want, I don't think Black Lives Matter gives two shits about George Floyd. They got their own agenda, and they're going to make sure that there's riots. That's what I believe.
see, I don't think I don't think Black Lives Matters is involved in advocating for riots. I think they may be vocal in getting people to show up and protest, and then I think the bad elements show up and take things off the rails.
Mm, I don't know about that.
Okay, fair.
Um, yeah, we shall see
Yes, we
sooner than
shall.
later, probably. Yeah. Well, if you don't have anything else, let's move on to our quick hits
Well,
section.
just for Arbery, just nothing to update on Arbery. Not even a trial date yet.
Yep, I haven't seen anything come across the wire, so to speak. You
Uh,
know.
so
Um,
we've done our duty by Mr. Arbery.
yeah, he's going to get he's going to get his uh, so-called day in court. So that'll be arguably more interesting than this trial.
Hmm.
Um,
I think they're going to walk
yeah,
too.
I'm not I'm not going to make any predictions yet. I really don't know.
Oh, that's
Um,
honest, man.
yeah, yeah.
So what's next?
Well, you brought this. This came in at last minute, um, and it was this document about violent crime survey. And I'll be honest with you, Joe. I started looking at all these numbers, and my eyes kind of glazed over, and I didn't. Nothing jumped out at me that I don't know what it is you're wanting to point out here. So I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you kind of describe your what it was you found interesting about this, and you can enlighten me and everyone else about this survey.
Okay. Basically, is that they said crime, like violent crime, jumped by like 30%. Um, let's see here.
Between 2018 and 2019, those are the years that I'm seeing on here.
Yes, and yeah, I just thought that was 30. For some reason, I thought that was it. For some reason, I thought this took in consideration COVID as well. Yeah, I thought this took in consideration 2020.
I'm not. I'm not seeing that.
No, it's not. But it still noted that violent crime jumped by like 30%. Um, and I just thought it was interesting to note. I'm annoyed because I literally thought that this, but it clearly says 2019-18. But I thought this covered COVID as well. Let me, yeah, um, yeah, yeah. We can go on. I
What would you expect? Would you expect to see a rise in 2020
Oh
because of
yeah, I
COVID
mean,
and the lockdown?
I thought it was interesting because yeah, it talked about this is something I saw on C-SPAN I think yesterday, and yeah, I thought it was covering 2020, but apparently it isn't. But it's one of those things where I was always thinking like, yeah, you got all these people cooped up, not working, and so you expect to see some rise in and crime, assault, and stuff like that. People, the husband beating the wife beating the kids, the wife beating the husband, and vice versa. But this right here doesn't really do that for me because it doesn't bring in doesn't cover 2020. So I'm sorry that I didn't look at this more closely.
Well, but I think you're right. I feel like I've heard the same things. I mean, and it makes sense, and not even that, but mental health problems. I'll bet suicides are up. Um, I think there's been a lot of unintended side effects to
But
unintended.
the thing that's annoying to me is that they report. I mean, I remember watching the show and I would not have of of taken this, but they made it seem as if it was covering 2020, and that yeah, I'm annoyed, but um, I guess this kind of leads to credence. What everybody go out and get a gun because you might need it.
I I stand by that.
Uh,
Oh well, a little lighthearted. I threw some lighthearted stuff in here, just because. Um, a 400-year-old Greenland shark is the longest living vertebrate.
What is that? A
Greenland sharks
shark?
are. Mhm. Greenland sharks are now the longest living vertebrates known on Earth, scientists say. Researchers used radiocarbon dating to determine the age of 28 of the animals and estimated that one female was about 400 years old. The team found that the sharks grow just 1 centimeter a year and reach sexual maturity at about the age of 150. The former vertebrate record holder was a bowhead whale, estimated to be 211 years old. But if invertebrates are brought into the longevity competition, a 507-year-old clam called Mang holds the title of most aged animal. So there you go. Imagine that. Just not that things have changed a whole lot for sharks under the water, but imagine just 400 years, man.
That
400 years.
that's a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. How long did friggin' Moses live?
Oh crap.
I don't know either.
It's like 300 years or
Yeah.
something. Was it? Yeah, yeah. If he was real. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oops, I didn't say that out loud, did I?
So this is crazy. So that shark was born in 1621.
I know. It's just crazy to me. I mean, I know if a human lived 400 years,
That shark's like
we have all
Highlander.
these, yeah, but nothing as far as he knows or she knows, nothing's changed, man. It's
Yeah.
just another year.
I wonder what 400-year-old shark would taste like.
Ooh, I can't imagine it'd be that good.
And yeah, yeah, some things improve with time.
Well, that's true, but I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
but probably not shark meat. Probably not shark
Yeah,
meat.
probably. Yeah. Um, so I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of over the whole murder hornet thing, but you did bring another interesting article to the table also with this is from Al Jazeera, um, probably one of the more reliable news sources we have. Is that not crazy to say? U.S.
Quick question: when did you get over the murder hornets?
Well, I go on. It's just it was just turns out. I think it just turned out to be a bunch of hype. I mean, they look cool, they're big, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it was that damn documentary you talked me into watching. I don't know, but still, U.S. and Canada gear up for another Asian murder hornet season. So ho hum.
See, I think what it is that we probably thought that we might see a murder hornet, but then you find out that it's like in one small county in some place that's literally on the other side of the country, and it's not likely
Yeah,
that you're ever going to see one. So like, okay, so these things might as well be back in Japan for all we care.
exactly,
Oh, I get that.
exactly. But don't get me wrong. I love the idea, like the potential of a murder hornet.
So
It's like yeah, it's like lost potential. It's like lost
so
potential.
like if these things wiped out a small town in
Oh,
Washington State or British Columbia, then they'd have your attention again.
yes,
You're like, oh yeah,
that would get my attention.
this this the small town of Cadillac, Washington, a small community of 75 people was overrun and murdered by a swarm of murder hornets.
Another victim fell to murder hornets this week, and so stories. So we start getting some stories like that, and I'll be like, all right, you got my attention. These things, not only do you have my attention, but I am rightfully scared
Yeah.
and will probably never leave my apartment again.
And so these things have to wipe a small community off the map for them to catch Mr. Newman's attention. All right, that's good to know.
You know what? It doesn't even have to be the whole community. I maybe just a few people would be enough for me. I don't need. I'm not like
I'm not
bloodthirsty.
bloodthirsty. Come on.
Exactly. But
All right. Well, I mean, hey,
murder hornets. Oh, I do have an idea for my murder hornet picture that I drew though that I'm going to add to it. So because you know how there's that video of like these Japanese honeybees that know how to kill them.
oh yeah.
I thought it would be cool to take my murder hornet and then have it surrounded by a bunch of these honeybees wearing like samurai armor.
All right.
Jap. I think that'd be cool.
It
So
seems like somebody's giving this some thought, man.
yeah, it just popped into my head now. So I'm gonna have to get it out eventually because it'll just keep bouncing around in there. So pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So I threw this in here, as if I needed another reason to hate social media. Um, it says Facebook apps used in over half of online child sex crimes, says some organization called the NSPCC.
To the surprise of,
Yeah, hopefully no one.
yeah.
More than half of online child sex crimes are committed over Facebook-owned apps. The data from NSPCC suggests, as the charity called for more to be done to tackle abuse in private messaging. Facebook has previously revealed plans to make messaging across its apps, including Instagram and Facebook Messenger, end-to-end encryption or end-to-end encrypted, like another of its services, WhatsApp, to boost user privacy. But the NSPCC argued these figures gathered through Freedom of Information requests to police forces show that Facebook's encryption plan will leave children at greater risk and accuse the social media giant of turning back the clock on children's safety.
Yeah, that's a hard one,
Now,
yeah.
it is a hard one because I'm very much pro
Privacy?
end-to-end encryption and privacy. Yeah. So
Yeah, and I also bet you're also pro non-kids getting raped.
yeah, I look down on that as well.
So,
Um, so it is. I mean, I don't know, man. This is one of those things. It's like
and the way this article is written, or the way it seems as if, like, you either get privacy or you get kids violated, and there's no in between. Do you think there's an in between, man?
well, that's the thing that I don't think there's an in between. And this argument kind of originally came up maybe 5 years ago. Do you remember when? I'm sure it had something to do with terrorism, but
Oh,
they got like
about like
this
the government
guy's.
wanting like a backdoor to stuff.
Yeah, they couldn't get into this guy's iPhone,
Yes,
and so legislators was like, well, we need to put a back door in it
I
so
think we
that we
covered
can
that.
get in it. I don't think we covered it on this show.
Okay.
We've talked. I'm sure we talked about it. That event, that incident happened several years ago.
Hmm.
But you can't put a back door in encryption, man. It's either secure or it's not secure,
Yeah.
and that's the problem.
It seemed like somebody saying, "Oh, we need to put a back door that way, and keep it secure." It seemed like that person didn't know what they were talking about.
Well, absolutely, it was said by some idiot congressman who has no clue about technology.
Probably 80 years old.
Exactly, but it's I don't know, man. If a few little kids' heinies have to pay the price for our security, I guess it's the price we have to pay.
Um, let's see here.
I take that. That was a
That was a joke.
that was a poor joke. I don't mean that.
Yeah, the Brian and Joe show does not condone
Absolutely,
child abuse of any form.
absolutely not.
But we also don't condone police overreach and matters that are private.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You know,
guess
if
I hate the formulation of the argument that it's you know either the kids suffer or you have no privacy. I think there's middle ground, and I think something we probably should watch.
do you have a high level idea of what the middle ground could be?
Um, I mean, I don't believe for a second that when they say it's end-to-end encryption that nobody, and I mean nobody, has access to it. So I believe that yeah, it's end-to-end encryption, but somebody on, let's say, WhatsApp's security team could probably go and I think everything's saved someplace, right?
Well, that's that's where that's why encryption is such a difficult uh, s- subject in technology. The typical rule for developers when developers are need to implement encryption,
Mhm.
the typical rule is don't do it yourself. Use encryption that's already been established by people way smarter than you.
Why is that?
Um, because encryption is so difficult. I mean, it's all a math. It's all mathematics, and so the end to end encryption. What makes it so powerful is that um, each person creates like I if you and I were going to be communicating over this theoretically over this kind of a network, you would create your encryption keys, one private, one public. This is how encryption is work. At least encryption that I'm familiar with, and I think they all kind of work. They follow this model, but you create a private key and a public key, and then I create my private key and my public key, and now I could give you my public key, and you could give me your public key, and then I could write a message on my end. I could encrypt it with my private key and send you that encrypted message. And through some one magical mathematical stuff, you having my public key combined with, I don't know, something, you could decrypt my private message. But it's way more complicated than that, and that's why the rule of thumb is never try to implement encryption yourself, because you're just not smart enough. People like
Yeah, I
like
guess
I
my
think
thing is
Bruce
like
Bruce Schneier. But see, there is
my,
no middleman. And so
but
go ahead.
that seems to me that you have to have a lot of trust in your vendor that they're not going to try and screw you.
But that's the thing. If you're, of course, yeah, I hear what you're saying. But at least the concept of it doesn't allow for a middleman to
So
do anything.
so
As long
so
as
so potentially your secrets are safe from anyone but the person who can get your private key, sorry, your public key, so they can unlock your private key.
well, no, public keys are public. That's what they are. They're public. You can you a lot of times it used to be that people would post their public keys on their website so that people could use it to um, yeah, that's what it is. When you send me a message, you would use my public key plus your private key to encrypt it, and then I would use my public key. Yeah, that's how it works. But yeah, if my private key was ever compromised, then uh, that's when things could go bad. And so you're right.
That's
Yeah,
that's,
no,
that's when
you're
all your
absolutely
secrets go out the
right.
window.
Yeah, and so you're absolutely right. I mean, if you're keeping your private key on your phone, yeah, that's the thing. When it comes to technology, there's always going to be a hack or a breach. It's just the way
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is. But
yeah. Anytime you have layers upon layers of complexity, there's going to be, there's going to be something that's left to the wind. There's going to be something exploitable.
well, that's true. And then so I want
So
to let's I want to keep that idea in mind as we move on to this next topic. The Excelsior Pass, New
what?
York's answer to reopening. So
Yes. Oh yes. The
get back
yeah. Good.
Yeah, this actually comes from New York's government website. Get back to your favorite business and venues with digital proof of your COVID-19 vaccination or negative test results. Attend sporting events, arts performances, and more. Excelsior Pass supports a safe reopening of New York by providing a free, fast, and secure way to present digital proof of COVID-19 vaccination or negative test results. Think of it as a mobile airline boarding pass, but for proving you received a COVID-19 vaccination or a negative test. You can store your pass digitally on your smartphone with the Excelsior Pass Wallet app, available for free from the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. You can also print your pass from the Excelsior Pass website and bring it with you. And so
Yeah.
here it begins. Now I want to
I mean,
go ahead.
oh no, I'm sorry. You were about to say.
Yeah, a couple things. I want to. I mean, surely, I just want to make this point. Now, I don't believe in the Book of Revelations, but I love you have a degree in religion.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the purpose of the mark of the beast 666? Do you know its purpose in Revelations?
Um.
What it's for?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be such that you can't transact and interact in commerce or business without this mark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like if this COVID app, this COVID Freedom Pass app, whatever.
Passport.
Yeah, I mean, what's different? What's different about that? If you can't prove to us that you have this vaccination, you're not allowed to come to work. You're not allowed to go to sporting events. You're not allowed to go to shopping. I mean, the comparison
But I
between
mean,
that and this is just so tasty.
Stark. Yeah, it's one of those things you'd have to be blind to not see it.
Well,
But I mean,
yeah,
from the very word jump when they had the vaccine, you could already see them talking. Already see them saying, okay, a good portion of people are going to get this thing one way or another. And then you start seeing stuff like this. Oh, you can go see like games and sporting events, and it seemed like it's really yeah. I think they made the decision. People are getting this are getting this vaccine one way or another.
I'm curious to see if the place I work. Granted, I work remotely, but are they going to start
Yeah,
requiring
but
it for
I think a lot of this is going to
employees
be
if they
going away
work at?
pretty soon.
Well, I don't know, man. That's the whole point of these variants and mutants and all this stuff. I don't know that this is going away. I thought that as well last year, but I don't know, man. They seem hell bent on bending us to their will in some way.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're going to do that.
Um,
I mean,
interestingly enough,
they've done everything but say kiss the ring.
interestingly enough, the one thing that could be the stake in the heart of this Freedom Pass, Excelsior Pass, or whatever, is the one of the biggest, and we're going to get to this probably later. One of the biggest
HIPAA.
things well, HIPAA seems to be out the window. That should be a big thing. But you know, if we're going to require everyone to have these freedom passes, that's what I'm calling it. Um, What about
It's kind of ironic.
how do those compare to requiring people to have an ID to vote? You know, you got
Um,
we don't require you to have an ID. We don't. It's discriminatory to require an ID to vote. However, it's not discriminatory to require to have an ID to live a basic life. What
Now,
about all the
truth
people
be
that?
told, every time I've gone to vote, I've been asked for some form of ID, or you end up presenting
Yeah.
some form of ID.
Hmm.
And so, like, I'm not so sure if this whole oh, these people are voting without ID. I'm not so sure that's a huge deal
Why do we always hear about it every time this shit comes up, man? Let's save it. Save it. We'll
because
save
people
that
need
for.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm?
Let's save that for let's save that for when we get to the Georgia voting thing,
Like,
because
cool.
yeah. Uh, yeah. Here we go. Let me see how we're doing on time, my man. We're at
Last time I
one
checked, we were like
hour.
55 minutes.
So
So
yeah,
what?
yeah. So let's see here. I might have to make an audible again. You know what? I think probably let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll take a break, restroom break, refill your drinks, do what you got to do, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's happening in Georgia. And I'm afraid that our wrong think segment is going to get bumped once again. Although it's probably good because I can't imagine anything good for us coming from this discussion. But we are going to have it
Which
nonetheless.
one?
But just the LGBTQ XYZ plus all that agenda stuff.
I'm sure great things will come out of
So
that for us, man. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
I'm so sure. All right, everybody, we're taking a break. Like I said, go refresh your drinks, do
Break
what you got
time.
to do, and we'll be back before you know it. And we're back. Um, so, Joe, Georgia, the state of Georgia, has gotten a lot of attention this past week or so. Um, they passed some uh, voting, a law concerning voting in the state. Depending on who you hear analyze it, it's either the end. Some people have the audacity of comparing it to Jim Crow, which I think is horrible. But then again,
Uh,
we've
uh.
lost a lot of. Really,
I mean,
you want to compare it to
I think it
what
is
happened to
important to
during Jim
note that
Crow?
no, I think it's important to note that they passed this law after the Georgia went for the Democrats with Biden, and then after that they went for two Democrats for senators, and so it seems as if the Republicans of the state kind of just did not like the way the votes went and decided to engage in a little bit of voter suppression.
Interesting. Well, I
But
okay. Go ahead.
I'm keenly interested in hearing your take on the law.
Well, I am interested in hearing you in hearing your. I mean, you have a summary of the laws passed, I suppose, right? So I thought
Yes,
you could
yes.
go down through what you have there, and we can kind of
All
discuss
right,
it as
so
we go.
good deal. So this law came into effect. Like I said, this comes on the heels of what three elections going for Democrats in a totally a typically red state. First, the Republican went. Sorry, the state of Georgia went for for Biden, pretty much one of the nails in the Trump campaign's coffin. And then after that, after winning, after the Democrats won for Biden, then they went through and picked up two extra seats for the two senators down there, Mr. Warnock and what's his face. And then
Okay.
last week this bill comes out, and the new voter law in Georgia, and so some of the things it does see here. It shrinks the window for voters to request mail-in ballots rather than allowing voters to request ballots 6 months from election day. The new law says voters can start requesting ballots 78 days out. Counties can begin sending ballots to voters just 29 days before the election day rather than the previous 49 days. It also sets earlier cutoff for ballot application requests. What do you think about that?
So what's the what are the two? It used to be 6 months, and then
So
they
so
reduced
yeah,
it to
you used to be
what?
able to rather than allowing voters to request ballots 6 months from election day, the new law states voters can start getting them only 78 days before the election, and also cuts when the ballots can be sent to just 29 days before an election, whereas previously was 49 days. But to me, this one just seems as if they're just trying to make the window for voting that much smaller. Voting via absentee ballot that much smaller. Thoughts?
Uh, I I don't really have any thoughts on that.
Uh,
No.
Next one.
Yeah.
Counties and the
I
state
mean, six
can
months.
send
I will.
mail
I guess.
ballot.
Let me say this. 6 months out seems excessive. I don't think that it needs to be 6 months out. Um, other than that, I don't know. That doesn't bother me a whole lot, I
But this
guess.
isn't saying that they get the ballot 6 months out. This says that they can request one 6 months out.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I hear you, but it doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I
Next one.
interrupted you. Go
State
ahead,
and
your next one.
counties and states can send ballot applications to only voters who request them, as opposed to simply sending every registered voter a ballot application and cannot fill out information ahead of time. What do you think about that one? So I guess whereas they used to send out a ballot application, so an application to apply for a ballot to everyone, now they only do it to those who've requested them. Thoughts on that?
That's just how it's. I didn't know. That's just how it's been. I thought for me. Again, it doesn't bother me again. So I
Okay.
mean, you're no surprise, I guess.
Okay.
But
Do you think they should be?
If I
Quick
wanted,
question. Do you think
if I wanted a ballot, I was gonna say
you were saying?
whenever I've wanted a ballot, I've always had to go uh and track it down myself, and it's never been a problem for me. So
No. And I was about to ask you. This is probably a philosophical question. Should the state make it easier or harder for people to vote?
mm, I
You there?
yeah, I'm here. I just sorry, I was taking a drink. Um, well, obviously, I'm not going to say they should make it harder, but um, I think that then again, I don't think that it should be. Uh, I mean, I think if someone wants to participate in this process, that um, they need to take some initiative and do it. But Of course, I don't think they should make it harder. So
Yeah, and I think yeah, this I, I'm I think that this is America. We're a democratic republic, and if you believe that, we should be. I think the state should be making it withdrawing as many obstacles to voting as possible, and
okay,
yeah, giving everybody a ballot application. I think that makes sense to me.
okay,
Next, new voter ID requirements. Voters who cast mail-in ballots will have to provide several forms of identification. One of several forms of identification. This provision, which replaces a signature match previously used to confirm voter identities, is one of the most controversial in the bill because critics say it's likely to disproportionately affect black voters. Thoughts on this one?
again, I think that everyone has an ID. I don't see what the problem with requiring it uh, for your vote.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I tend to agree with this one. I mean, um, I I think as long as the state makes getting some form of ID like almost free, this I don't have a problem with it. I don't like the idea of random person, and we don't know that this happens a lot. Random person shows up and just votes, but in theory it could happen, and that's probably not a good thing. That in theory you could have somebody, oh yeah, my name is Billy Bob, and yeah, I live at such and such. Where's my ID? Oh, I left it at home. Yeah, can't have that.
I
So
have
we agree on that
I have
one.
an article pulled up. Yeah, I have an article pulled up here that um, it's like the six myths of this voter ID law and what they're calling the facts now. This is coming from the
Can we finish this
Heritage
one?
Action. Well, yeah, but yeah, okay, fine, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Next one. A limit on the number of ballot drop boxes during early voting. It essentially limits the number of drop boxes in each county to per one per early voting site, or one for every 100,000 voters in a county, whichever is smaller. And the drop boxes cannot be conveniently spread over the county. For example, in places where there aren't in person early voting locations, they all have to be located either in a county election office or at a early voting precinct location. They have to be indoors, which critics say make them less accessible and could lead to crowds where voters are already congregated. Thoughts on that one?
Um, no, we'll get to it when I touch on this article I have up here.
And so you don't have any thought on the limiting the number of drop boxes per county?
Well, I'll tell you, according to what I have here, the idea of drop boxes for the elections didn't even exist a year ago. There was something that was implemented for COVID, this COVID bullshit. So, um,
Yeah, I mean that doesn't bother me though. I mean, if you got this worldwide pandemic and people shouldn't be outside, sorry, shouldn't be congregated inside, and that doesn't bother me. All right, let's
well,
see
yeah,
here.
and
Short.
it just doesn't bother me. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry, I didn't understand the last thing you said.
I don't know what we've got. We must have some serious lag going on. We keep stepping over each other. Um,
Yeah, we do.
Go ahead
I think
and
we do.
continue with what you were going to say.
Yeah, shortened early voting and runoff elections. Instead of a minimum of 3 weeks of early voting and runoffs will be and held in a single Monday through Friday period. Um, don't care too much about that one. Um, let's see here.
Yeah.
a ban on handing food and water within 150 feet of a voting place or within 25 feet of any voter. Republicans say that this is aimed at stopping outside groups from influencing voters. Democrats say it's supposed to make it harder for people to wait in long lines, particularly on hot or cold days. Election officials are permitted to set up water stations, but not required to do so. Thoughts?
Yeah, one, I don't think that, like I told you, I before I, this isn't a, I don't, I couldn't care less about this. People, I don't think people need to, you know, need to have water and food all the time. You know, it's like, I mean, what did
Uh,
we do before
uh
bottled water was a thing? Seriously, what did we do before
well,
bottled water
what
was a
we did
thing?
oftentimes we fall out.
But as I understand it, this just says the people that run the poll, they can hand out water. It's just it's really, this is election. This is just to protect against electioneering. So um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, the last election cycle, I waited 3.5 hours in line to vote, and literally somebody came through and gave me like a bottle of water and maybe some crackers, and I can't remember the last time I was so grateful for a bottle of water. And you know how much I don't like water.
mm,
So having experience sitting
yeah,
in a line for 3 hours to vote, huh? Is that
no, go ahead.
me having experience sitting in line for 3 hours to vote? I can see the value. I can see why making it illegal to pass out water is kind of a bridge too far.
But it's not making it illegal. It's making it illegal for outside groups to do it. But it's not making it illegal for the people running the polling station to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, what are they protecting against?
Hey, look, here's some bottled water, and hey, someone wearing a Joe Biden shirt saying, "Hey, here's some bottled water." So, it's to protect against outside influences. Maybe it's not going to
Yeah,
influence you, but maybe other people it would.
yeah. I mean, I still think that's just
I think the idea that
yeah.
someone can't go I think the idea that someone can't go for 4 hours without food and water, uh, I think that's just preposterous on its own. But
There
you know
are
what?
a
Bring it.
lot
Hey,
of people that are
here's.
diabetics out there.
Well, if you know you're a diabetic, then bring some sugar. If you know you're going to get thirsty, bring some water. Is it
Yeah.
is
I
it is
mean,
it is it such a
yeah,
burden?
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Seriously.
I think that's just yeah. I know you're being serious. I just can't. You know, yeah. When you're banning people from providing other folks water, you should have a moment of pause and check yourself.
Banning some people.
Doesn't matter
I just don't. I don't.
if you ever find yourself banning people from giving one person from giving another person a bottle of water, you're making you done effed up.
I think you're oversimplifying it.
No, I mean no, I don't. I mean it's water. It's yeah, and yeah, there may be very weak-minded individuals that could be swayed by a bottle of water. Um, but yeah, I guess I give the voters more credit that if you're gonna be standing in line for 3 hours, um, I guess I'm concerned. I think it's ironic that they're not more concerned that you have people waiting for 3 hours just to vote. That's a that's a bigger concern that the people who made this law aren't being like, hey, like how can we make it such that people don't have to? I mean, how can we make it such that we eliminate the necessity for outside groups to bring water?
Well, I guess I give voters too much credit in thinking that they could bring their own water if they think they're going to need it.
Well, I mean, and me as an example, when I showed up to the voting poll, Had you told me that it would have been a 3 hour ordeal, um, yeah, you don't think when you go to vote, you never think it's going to be a 4 hour deal. That's what it is. And, and quick question: have you ever
Okay.
experienced waiting in a long line to vote?
Mm, no.
Yeah, and part of it is that you know these long lines pretty much only happen where black people live.
A conspiracy?
I don't think. I mean, it's only a conspiracy if no, I don't think it's a conspiracy at all. It's it's proven, it's documented.
Okay. Again, bring water. Most people have water with them all the time anyway. This is just
Yeah,
such a
we
silly
disagree.
thing to me. I can't take it seriously. I'm
Well,
sorry.
what's silly to me is that they were like, yeah, let's ban giving people water.
But that's not what they're doing. They're banning
Yes, that is
outside
what they're
people.
doing. No, no, no. It's just
Why can't the
people,
people?
not outside people, inside people. Just people. So the fact that I'm not a part of the voting commission means I can't give somebody water. That's ridiculous. They should be ashamed of themselves. Well, that's it for this article. What's on your article?
It's no point going through it.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
What's next?
what is next? Ooh. Well, let me check the time here. We got to do that now. Yeah. Let's jump on down to some skullduggerous shenanigans, man.
I like shenanigans.
Uh,
Are we not going to do the? We're not.
yeah, I think let's skip that segment and just move on. It's
Okay, let's
I
go.
think I think there's a lot to talk about there, but um,
We don't have time.
I I don't think we have time. Um, uh, so we got yeah.
Uh,
So we have two. We brought two. So which one do you want to use? You want to use yours or you want to use mine?
let's use yours.
They're both all right. Mine was okay. Family sues after California man dies in a taco eating contest. Fresno, California. The son of a California man who choked to death during an amateur taco eating contest at a minor league baseball game is suing the event's organizers for negligence. Eight,
Terrible.
I know. 18-year-old Marshall Hutchins lawsuit filed Monday alleges his father, Dana Hutchins, was not made aware of the risks and danger involved in an eating competition, the Fresno Bee reported. The 41-year-old died after choking on tacos while competing in the contest during a Fresno Grizzlies game on August 13th, 2019.
What a horribly public and embarrassing way to go.
Or it could be a great way to go, eating tacos.
Yeah, but turning blue and dying just does not sound like fun.
Nah, that takes away from it a little bit. Participants competed to devour as many tacos as possible during a certain amount of time. The suit names Fresno Sports and Events the owner of the Grizzlies. Now, what I need to know, and what they didn't, like the most important thing I need to know about this that they didn't say was it soft or hard tacos?
Yeah, I assumed it was hard tacos,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that
me
may
too.
not be the greatest assumption.
Well, you know, so I don't know, man. I mean, eh,
So I
I
mean,
guess now after I read it, that wasn't so much shenanigans, but it was
it's pretty
interesting.
shenanitastic. You know,
Yeah, shenanitastic.
yeah, an interesting and noteworthy death.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably it's probably going to be on this guy's or tombstone.
Yeah, but yeah, this guy was a schmuck, died a dumb death. I mean,
I wanted to know more about the tacos. That's my
I
big
also
thing.
want to know what the price was.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, ask that guy, was it
Yeah.
worth it?
Was it worth it?
That's
I'm
me.
guessing no. I'm guessing no.
Like, what an a-hole.
Uh, well, that brings us to the end of tonight's show. Joe, do you have what do you got going on this weekend? Anything fun, exciting? What's happening?
I think I'm going to be pursuing justice.
Really? Do tell. Do
Yeah.
tell.
No, I mean that just whatever I'm doing, it'll be in some vein of justice will be in the awning.
Okay.
What
Sounds
about
good.
yourself?
I don't have anything planned as of now, but I'm hoping if the weather's nice to get out and do something.
What?
What? I don't know.
Brian gets
I
out?
think I might. Yeah, I think I might. I went to the mall last weekend to pick up some clothes for an event that I had to go to, and the mall was it wasn't it was like I went me and my buddy went to the mall last year and it was pathetic. It was like dead. It was horrible. But it looks like things aside from the stupid masks, it looks like things are getting back to normal here in Kentucky,
Well, of course they are. People
and
are sick and tired of it. Things not being back to
they
normal.
are. And here's the funny thing about the masks, man, is I, at the mall I seen people wearing masks, and then I seen people wearing like the face shields,
Yeah.
and so I would like Dr. Fauci to explain to an idiot like me how face shields are okay, but uh, not wearing them. But you know what? Because if these COVID particles are smart enough to maneuver through um, masks and just normal masks and whatnot, how is just wearing a face shield acceptable? I don't know that, but
Oh, ye of little faith.
I know. I know. It's all science, I'm sure.
You gotta stop asking all these questions, man. I mean,
I know.
sooner or later you're gonna attract attention that you don't want.
Well, sadly, you're right about that, I'm afraid.
the,
That's why I keep pushing off these damn LGBT stories, man.
the what?
The LGBTQ stories.
Hey, it's real.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
LGBT.
I gotta say something real quick. I forgot to share this with you. I was taking the I told you on chat. I did tell you on chat. I was taking the workplace violence
Mhm.
thing, and it was interesting. There was because I got to the section, they said, you know, if there's like an active shooter scenario, you can either run, hide, or fight. And
Oh,
so I was
yeah. I was wondering, like, where did he come up with this active shooter scenario? What a
oh
terrible.
yeah, apparently that's a recommendation from the Department of Homeland Security. It's if you find yourself in an active shooter situation, you either run, hide, or fight. And then so my company adopts that that guideline. So yeah, it came from Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, but I guess those are the only things you can do. You can run.
Right.
Yep. You can hide. You can fight. Can you think of any other? I mean, pretty much everything's going to end up being one variant of those three.
Yeah. But I liked when I read the description of the fight. It was cool because it's like really this is like the one thing that I read in this whole tutorial that really seemed real, and that was like, you know what, if it comes down to it and you got to fight, don't half-ass it, man.
Oh yeah.
It's like you got to commit to it.
Oh yeah.
You got to, and it's just bizarre uh, reading things like that from corporate training. But like if
Yeah.
you find yourself and you got to fight, 100%, man. You got to go
Yeah.
100% and
Take off the
use
gloves.
use whatever you got. Yeah, whatever you got. Well, one of my favorite weapons that they said you could use is the corner of a table. I'm
Why
like,
the
fuck
corner?
yeah. I don't know, man. I guess because that would hurt the most. That'd do the most damage, I guess.
I mean, but you're gonna pick up a
I
table.
envision, I Oh, I envision myself after I kick the assailant in the nuts and he bends over. I grab him by the back of the head and I slam his face down into the corner of a table. And then I pick up a chair and I start beating him with it. And then and then I'm looking around. I'm like grabbing laptops and computer monitors and shit, and just smashing his head with
Yeah.
it and stuff.
This is a
I
kitchen
was
sink
like,
treatment.
yeah, yeah. It's like, make sure he don't get up.
Yeah. So I gotta say, like when you told when we were talking earlier today, I'm like, where is he coming up with this? Like active shooter crap. It's like what you know.
uh,
When I thought of workplace violence, I thought of somebody two guys getting in a fight. But I guess in 2021, the more appropriate thing would be active shooter.
yeah. Well, I'll be honest. 95% of the course was what you were talking about, but
Anyway,
they had like at the end they had to they had to stick it in the active shooter thing in there. So I kind of dug that, and I'm happy to say that I passed the training course 100%.
well, I'm glad. I mean,
Yeah.
if you didn't, I'd be like, hey, dude, you need to take that class again because it shouldn't be that hard. Run, hide, or fight. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, Joe. Well, to all of our wonderful listeners out there, join us here next week where we will continue our never ending quest to solve the world's problems one drink at a time.
One.
Maybe two.
Yeah, yeah. Or three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. As many as it takes, man.
As many as it takes. I like it. All right. Take care, everyone.
Take care.